I still got shots being fired.
For at least 2 to 3 minutes, it was absolute chaos.
I got to look at the shooter who was just behind the backstop.
Our lives were saved by the Capitol Hill Police. Had they not been there, I think it would have been a massacre.
Right now, Congressman Steve Scalise is in critical condition after this morning's shooting in Alexandria.
Two Capitol Police officers, a staffer and a lobbyist were also hit when those shots rang out just after 7 a.m.
They were all here at this Alexandria baseball field practicing for tomorrow night's congressional baseball game.
And we have team coverage of the shooting tonight, from the Hill to the hospitals to Illinois, where the man who started shooting was from. Let's start, though, with Chief Political Correspondent Scott Thuman. He joins us from Delray. Scott?
Yeah, Nancy, just behind me, you can see that the ball field is still taped off. Plenty of authorities, investigators, both local and federal, are here on site. And we say federal because the attack took place against members of Congress and their colleagues. It's a federal crime. That means the FBI is in charge. They plan to have a news conference in just about 30 minutes time, just around the corner from us. And we'll be listening very closely to see what, if any, political motivations may have had to do in this really charged timing.
I still got shots being fired. We got one in custody. We need medics.
Chaos as Republican members of Congress came under fire practicing early Wednesday morning for a charity baseball game. Representative Mo Brooks was just feet away.
And I thought it was a car backfiring at first until I see the rifle barrel and a white male taking careful aim at congressmen, staffers, whoever he could get a hold of.
He had a lot of ammo, and I think he must have been secured behind the third base dugout for a while. It was tough to get to him.
In panic, the members scattered in every direction, filling a dugout or hopping the fence to get away.
It went on for, it felt like 10 minutes.
And there was a guy, I don't know who he was, but was out here on the field. And I guess he was shot early on because he was just laying there and he wasn't really moving.
It was Congressman Steve Scalise of Louisiana, the majority whip. And due to his high ranking, the reason a security detail was already on site. It could have been much worse, even a massacre, some members who were here say, if Capitol Police had not quickly jumped into action. They say maybe none of them would be alive. In an extensive exchange of gunfire, 2 of the officers were shot and the suspect, James Hodgkinson, killed. ABC News says the 66-year-old is from Illinois but had been living in Alexandria for the past few months. A Facebook page that appears to be his indicates he is a member of an online group called Terminate the Republican Party.
We may have our differences, but we do well in times like these to remember that everyone who serves in our nation's capital is here because, above all, they love our country.
U.S. Capitol Police, as you might imagine, sending out advice and an alert to all of the members, essentially saying if you see something, say something, knowing that threats need to be taken very, very seriously at this time. Last note to point out from here at the ball field, Congressman Joe Barton was one of the members on the field today. He had brought his young son to watch practice, and he was in the dugout with many others as they were seeking protection, and kind of put him underneath the bench there in the dugout, and everyone was trying to protect him. He said, I had 25 fathers that day, not just one. So you can see some of the perspective here. As for moving forward, it was Joe Barton who said that they will be playing tomorrow night regardless of what happened here today. Quote, it's play ball. Back to you.
Scott, incredibly touching there. Thank you very much. Meantime, Congressman Scalise is the majority whip, and as third in line for House leadership, he gets a security detail. Now, security was increased today, both on the Capitol building behind me and in the House and Senate office buildings in the minutes after today's shooting. Stephen Cheetah also joining us from the Hill with reaction from today. Stephen?
And Nancy, security always tight around the U.S. Capitol, but today, especially in those moments after we learned of the shooting, it grew dramatically more intense.
They stepped it up outside the U.S. Capitol, while inside they strode into a briefing on the shooting at a congressional baseball practice. Congressman Joe Barton's voice cracking at times when describing the scene.
Our prayers are for the people who were wounded, and our thanks are to the the police officers who attacked. I can't emphasize this enough. They attacked the shooter, and that saved our lives. Thank you.
And in doing so, got injured themselves. It's remarkable heroism.
Calls for unity echoed through the Capitol as word spread of the shooting. And Congressman Jeff Duncan, who attended the practice, recounted his conversation with the man who opened fire just moments before the bullets flew.
I know what he asked me. I know how I answered. I know what happened. And I'm going to take it that he was targeting Republicans this morning by shooting Republican baseball team on the field.
Despite the strong security presence, tourists still flocked to the Capitol. In the hours after the shooting, guards hurried visitors into the building once they cleared security. One guard saying he wanted to make sure the area was as clear as possible if someone opened fire.
I'm shaken up. My colleagues were targeted today by somebody that wanted to kill them.
Now, that intense security and the anxiety that gripped the U.S. Capitol today appeared to diminish as we learned more about the gunman here, and more people became convinced or began to believe that perhaps this was the work of an individual and not some kind of organized attack. Reporting live, Stephen Cheetah, ABC 7 News.
Stephen, thanks very much. And James Hodgkinson, witnesses say that he just came out here, put a bag down, asked somebody through the fence, is this the Republicans or the Democrats playing? They said the Republicans, went back to his bag. That's when he pulled out the long rifle. Everybody's asking why. What was it about the 66-year-old man where he wanted to take out his anger or frustration in the form of violence against Republicans? Our senior investigator, Lisa Fletcher, has been looking into his background all day long. She joins us now with what she uncovered. Lisa?
Well, Jonathan, you know, in these situations, you can't possibly get into the shooter's head. But what we do find that is very common is that friends and neighbors say he was a very nice guy. And that seems to be the case here with Stephen Hodgkinson as well. But we found some things happening in his personal life that may have caused some problems, along with his deeply agitated state about U.S. politics.
66-year-old James Hodgkinson ran a home inspection business for more than a decade, but dissolved the company, JTH Services, at the end of last year. A neighbor told us Hodgkinson left his wife, and they hadn't seen him for some time. Hodgkinson's reportedly been living in Alexandria for the last 2 months. Hodgkinson was outspoken on social media about his dislike for the Trump administration. On March 22nd, he posted, "Trump is a traitor. Trump has destroyed our democracy. Time to destroy Trump and company." A neighbor we spoke with, who asked not to be named, had this to say.
And I'm just afraid politics put him over the edge with the way this country is headed. And he was definitely a big liberal. And I guess when Trump got in, and, you know, he might have went off the deep end, but never talked to him about politics. And I thought he was a really nice guy.
Hodgkinson supported Bernie Sanders for president and was a volunteer on his campaign in Iowa. Upon hearing the news, Sanders had strong words from the Senate floor.
I am sickened by this despicable act.
Hodgkinson has a history of run-ins with police, mostly for traffic violations dating back to the 1970s. But in 2006, he was charged with domestic battery and causing bodily harm and damage to a motor vehicle. The cases were eventually dismissed.
Now investigators are trying to determine motive and Hodgkinson's mental state and if he shared his intentions with anyone else. Live in the newsroom, Lisa Fletcher, ABC 7 News.
Lisa, thank you. And now Alexandria's police chief says that first responders arrived at that ball field within 3 minutes of that first 911 call. At least 2 of the people who were shot were taken to MedStar Hospital Center, and that's where D.C. Bureau Chief Sam Ford joins us now from. Sam?
Yes, Nancy. Well, the condition of Congressman Steve Scalise is critical. According to the latest report here at MedStar, they said he was shot in the hip and underwent surgery here this morning. The U.S. Capitol Police, dressed military style, arrived with their assault rifles, presumably to provide additional security for the congressman. The hospital said another shooting victim brought here is in good condition. It could be a special agent, Crystal Griner, shot in the ankle, according to a statement from U.S. Capitol Police during this battle with the shooter. The statement said that another special agent, David Bailey, was treated and released from a hospital for a minor injury. Again, there is no confirmation that Griner is the second patient here, and here they haven't actually said, but definitely here is Congressman Scalise, who is in critical condition. The FBI, in its statement, also said that another member of Congress suffered minor injury, but they did not say the degree that was or where that person was treated. Reporting live from Northwest Washington, I'm Sam Ford, ABC 7 News.
All right, Sam, thanks very much. I'm back now live at the field here at Simpson Field in Alexandria, and you can see FBI investigators. They were going shoulder to shoulder a second ago. They are covering every square inch, not only of the ball field, but just past the fence towards the third baseline and the dugout. They are looking for every piece of evidence as they try and retrace the steps, not only of the gunman, but the two Capitol Police officers who came running from the parking lot shooting at this gunman. The gunman had a rifle. They had pistols. Clearly, he had the advantage for range with the rifle. But one of those officers, even after being shot, was able to fire a shot in excess of 50 yards, hitting the gunman in the chest and bringing this to an end. Nancy?
Just absolutely incredible, Jonathan. Now, reaction to today's shooting has been coming in from all corners of the world, including from former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, who took to Twitter in the minutes after the shooting, in the hours after the shooting, I should say, and posted to Twitter this. I'm going to read it to you. She posted, "My heart is with my former colleagues, their families and staff, and the U.S. Capitol Police, public servants and heroes today and every day." Now, of course, you remember Giffords was shot in the head when a man opened fire as she met with constituents in Arizona 6 years ago. 6 people died in that attack. Also, Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, among many, praising Capitol Police for their actions today. She also paid tribute to 2 officers who died during a shooting almost 2 decades ago.
I want us to remember that every single day, the Capitol Police protects all of us, takes risk for us. And while a day like this is a time when we can focus on it, so sadly, it doesn't mean that other days aren't as challenging. And I especially want to call attention to Detective John Gibson and Officer Jacob Chestnut, who almost 19 years ago, 1988 it was, in July, lost their lives protecting the Congress, the Capitol.
And today, the heroics of the Capitol Police playing out yet again. 2 officers, both of them wounded in the gunfight, and both of them coming away, taking this gunman down from a long distance with just a pistol. Now, obviously, one of those Capitol Police officers at last check was released from the hospital. That is very good news. The other 4 people, including the majority whip, are still in the hospital. He was last listed in critical condition. But right now, at WJLA.com, our webpage, if you were to go there, you're going to find something we put up there. You can see the whole video of that gunfight. Somebody was rolling and recording, and you can hear it. You can also find out if one of the congressmen on that field, who is now maybe changing his mind about gun control after what he went through today. That's very latest out here in Alexandria. For now, though, let's go back into the studio. Allison?
Okay, Jonathan and Nancy, thanks to both of you, and we'll check back in with you soon. Now to some other news today, and we are tracking developing news on the West Coast as well, where a gunman opened fire at a UPS delivery warehouse in San Francisco. 6 people were shot there, and 3 of them are dead, including the gunman. A spokesman says the shooter was an employee, and it's believed he turned the gun on himself. Police are working to figure out the motive here. We're going to keep you posted as we find out more.
7's on Storm Watch tonight as some storms pop up around our area. Chief Meteorologist Doug Hill is tracking them from the Storm Watch 7 Weather Center. Doug.
Hey, Larry, for the 4th day in a row, we hit the 90-degree marker higher in Washington until the cold front came through. Now we're starting to settle down. Still a few showers and thunderstorms popping south of the metro area, but most of the day the activity has been and will remain well south and southwest of metro Washington. So a few showers here, a few showers along Route 1 I-95 corridor, but the majority of them well to the west. So for the planner tomorrow, a little cooler day, 83, partly cloudy skies, just maybe an isolated storm. Same kind of deal into Friday, and then the warm up and the heat and humidity return for the Father's Day weekend. We'll check that out in a few minutes for you, Allison.
Okay, Doug, thank you. And coming up here at 5, fallout in Flint. Find out who's facing manslaughter charges after the city's water was contaminated.
All I could hear was screams, help, get me out.
Plus that dramatic fire in London, what investigators have learned about it so far.
And messages of love along Mount Vernon Avenue. How Del Rey has dealt with this violence. We'll explain in a live report coming up.
Unreal. Unreal. I've been here for
close to 20 years. Never have any problems. You barely hear police sirens.
Absolute shock tonight from a lot of the people living in the Delray section of Alexandria, where 5 people, including a U.S. congressman, were shot this morning.
Well, Nancy, this is a very bucolic area. This is about as idyllic a position you could have, or a location to raise a family, very quiet. You heard the guy say they rarely hear sirens here. So when neighbors heard gunshots this morning, at first they thought maybe it was some sort of construction accident. But when the shots just didn't stop, they knew exactly what was happening. And now, behind me, you can see FBI agents are still scouring every inch of this field, looking for more bullet casings from this morning's shootout. Now, Richard Reeve is joining us live. And Richard, you spent the day talking to neighbors in this neighborhood. They must be absolutely floored with what played out this morning in their neighborhood.
Jonathan, a lot of folks seem shell-shocked, almost a state of disbelief about this violence. But take a look at this along Mount Vernon Avenue. Messages of love here, even after this difficult day.
A heavy police presence, crime scene tape at a playground, and the unfamiliar sound of gunshots.
I heard a bunch of what appeared to be shots. Pow, 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 pow.
So loud that Gaver Nichols heard the gunfire over the roar of his lawnmower. 30 to 50 shots in rapid succession.
You don't want to get shot just to mow your grass. So you stop the mower, you go into a building, so if a bullet does come through a wall, at least you got some protection.
This morning's violence, all very unfamiliar territory for this quiet Alexandria neighborhood.
When you have these acts of violence, it calls for prayer.
Along Monroe, now blocked off by police, Father John Roddy decided to continue on with his midday mass, needed now more than ever, he says.
I told him to pray for everyone, to pray for all who are concerned, and we even pray for the people who perpetrated the act.
On the streets near Simpson Stadium Park, you'll see signs like this. And along hot sidewalks, residents have left coolers that simply say free water.
I think people coming together is a good start.
Along Mount Vernon Avenue, this public art project called SOAR is attracting messages of love after so much violence.
I don't know how we come back from it. I mean, we have to get together and unite.
Two different events happening this evening along Mount Vernon Avenue. First, a neighborhood walk beginning in my location here, and then just down the street, first responders, members of Congress, and staff will be doing a run walk to honor those police officers who were wounded today. Reporting live, Richard Reeve, ABC 7 News.
We're watching the latest developments now from London after that deadly fire ripped through a high-rise apartment building there overnight. Today, government officials have ordered inspections at other buildings in that area that are undergoing renovations. That's after concerns that material installed during a recent remodel at this building helped that fire spread quicker. Witnesses report hearing people screaming for help, one woman even throwing her child to safety.
And the baby, I think, was wrapped in some sort of bed sheet blanket, and she threw the baby as the baby came down. And this was about approximately from the 9th or 10th floor. A member of the public, a gentleman, ran forward and miraculously grabbed the baby.
12 people were killed, at least 70 others hurt, and official cause still under investigation tonight.
And even though the cold front came through this afternoon, it still remained very hot and humid, got in the lower 90s for the 4th straight day. Now things starting to change a little bit. A rather cloudy look now looking live at National Harbor. No rain locally, but rain not far from the metro area as the front continues to sink south. Notice the influence of east-northeasterly winds is pushing the rain as it develops to the south and southwest. So Stafford, a little downpour now, a few more crossing the Potomac in Charles County, but there are numerous showers and storms. The heavier ones now over the northwest side of Richmond. Again, all the action down to the southwest. So I suppose the next hour or so until sunset, we could see an additional pop-up shower. Most of the activity staying away from the area and temperatures eventually cooling off a bit overnight. But right now it still feels like 93 in Leesburg and Warrenton, feels like 97 in Culpeper, feels like 90 degrees in Washington and 91 in Annapolis. So through the evening, we'll go from partly to mostly cloudy time. Still very warm and muggy as we only slowly drop later tonight in the upper 70s. Our Futurecast has a pretty good handle on the movement of these showers showers as they pretty much diminish overnight. Will be partly cloudy. I think we could see a touch of fog in the morning. Then I think we'll break into some sunshine during the day. Watch for a few more showers tomorrow afternoon. The majority should be just west of the metro area. And then as we head into the day Friday, it looks like the cold front's going to come back as a warm front, and another chance, probably increasing chances of afternoon showers and thunderstorms moving through the area. After that, as we head into the Father's Day weekend, temperatures will rise, humidity levels will rise, but we'll keep the daily chance of showers and storms. So over the next 48 hours, about 70 overnight with a little morning fog, 83 tomorrow and Friday, and again chances of isolated showers west of town tomorrow, and a better chance of thunderstorms area-wide on Friday. The weekend, 86 Saturday, scattered storms. Father's Day, hot and humid 92 with afternoon showers and thunderstorms. And finally, you look at the next 10 days here as the numbers stay down for a couple days, then head up. Very warm and muggy on Monday, but a better chance of storms as another cold front comes in, and that'll kind of only drop the temperatures a few degrees. We're going to be into the third week of June, so it's kind of hard to keep the temperatures down. But you see, summer arrives on the first day of on next Wednesday, first day of summer. Still be in the upper 80s. Near 90 on Friday with more showers and storms. So a very summery pattern.
Right.
Remember, it's just only a month or so ago when a cold front would come through, we'd really cool off for a bit. Not so much anymore.
No. A lot of people missing those days.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. And we want to tell you about 4 big birthdays today. The oldest, the U.S. Army, which was formed 242 years ago today. 2 years later, Congress adopted the Stars and Stripes as the official flag of this country. And then, not quite as old, but very significant, today, not Doug, but President Donald Trump. He is 71, and Maryland Congressman Steny Hoyer is 78.
All right. Well, still ahead tonight, while the Trump administration is putting off a deadline on changing nutrition labels.
But first, here's what's coming up tonight on ABC 7. Developing now, a substitute teacher charged with arranging to have sex with a minor, Hatim Abdelrahman, arrested last night in the Herndon area. He is a substitute teacher in the Fairfax County school system. Tonight, investigators are asking anyone with information to come forward.
It's the second full day of jury deliberations in the Bill Cosby sexual assault trial. This afternoon, the entire testimony from Cosby's accuser was read back to jurors at their request. Cosby faces up to 10 years in prison on each count if convicted.
And we are tracking new developments in the Flint water crisis today. 5 people who work for the city or the state have been charged in the death of an 85-year-old man. Now, the head of Michigan's health department is among the 5 now facing involuntary manslaughter charges. That's because the man who died had Legionnaire's disease, which has been linked to the poisoned water supply.
After allegedly being informed of the growing Legionella situation in Flint, Nick Line failed to inform the public of this health threat, a threat which cost the life of Robert Skidmore.
The other 4 officials are already facing other charges. Michigan Attorney General says he is not charging Governor Snyder because right now they have no evidence against him.
The Food and Drug Administration has indefinitely postponed next year's planned overhaul of nutrition labels. Now, the goal of the revised labels was to make serving sizes more realistic. The new labels would also include the sugars added to food and drinks. Now, the Trump administration says companies need more time to comply. There's no word when or if these rules will take effect.
After today's shooting, members of Congress say it's important that their baseball game go on as scheduled tomorrow night. I'm Tom Rousey. I'll have that story coming straight up.
And with regard to that Alexandria shooting, we are awaiting new information from the FBI, and we'll also tell you the story of those hero police being credited with saving lives.
The emotional shock of seeing your friend shot, where you're helpless. You have a baseball bat, they have a rifle, you're defenseless.
Absolute chaos playing out this morning on the ball field behind me. This is where representatives from both the House and Senate, Republicans out here practicing for a big game that's going to take place tomorrow night at Nats Park. Just after 7 o'clock, when that practice was ongoing, they were taking batting practice. Some guy who was over here by the third baseline, he was outside the fence, had asked somebody, hey, are these Republicans or Democrats playing? They said Republicans. Went back to a sack he had lying on the ground, pulled out a long rifle, and he opened fire. One of those that was hit was the second baseman. That was the majority whip, Steve Scalise. He was hit in the hip and dropped on the ground, crawled himself to the outfield to try and get distance away from that gunman. Also, Capitol Police officers Crystal Griner and David Bailey, they came from the parking lot, opened fire on that gunman. Both of them were hit. We know that lobbyist Matt Mika and Zachary Barth, both of them were hit. Barth, by the way, is on Congressman Roger Williams' staff. Right now, we are standing by for a press briefing from the FBI that will give us the very latest on what is happening as far as this investigation goes. But as for the gunman, James Hodgkinson, we understand the 66-year-old was confronted by those Capitol Police officers and he was shot to death.